Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. So, a couple of months ago, my friends Sarah and Nancy, Sarah's from Water Child Tarot and has just done the most wonderful videos about Japanese tarot decks. So I'll probably link her videos below. They're definitely, if anybody nerds out on Japanese tarot, her videos are, they're just delightful. So Sarah and Nancy sent me a beautiful care package. And inside the care package, which I have filmed an unboxing for, there were two decks. And Sarah had asked my opinion of the decks, after using them or after working with them a little bit, or even just upon unboxing. Well, I had definite opinions upon unboxing. I have the unboxing video filmed and, of course, ready to go. The trouble, of course, is that the third part of the video where I actually went to do the unboxing, somehow, I just can't access it. I've lost that video, and it won't download from the cloud. It won't let me open it. It's corrupted somehow. And the same thing happened, unfortunately, to the unboxing video I did of the Landback Tarot. So I'm going to need to refilm Landback as well. But I think I'm going to put this one out before I put out the video of the unboxing, because at the end I sort of leave it with the cliffhanger of let's go ahead and unbox the decks and look at them, which I gleefully did and filmed and lost. So here we are. These are the two decks that were included in the video. So we have the Tibetan Buddhist meditation deck as well as the Tibetan Buddhism deck. Now, I will start by saying the Tibetan Buddhism deck is one that has been on my list for a very long time now. It's one I've been desperate to get my hands on and just had not. So I can't even begin to tell you the glee with which I unboxed this one and opened it. Let's go ahead and just start here, since this is where we are. So it's 36 meditation cards, Buddha's deities and Bodhisattvas. Lovely packaging and box. It's by Chronicle Books. This one's been around for a while. This isn't a new deck. This one's been around for a while, and I don't know why I hadn't found it sooner, but by the time I found it, I was in my depth year, or no, I wasn't. Where was I doing? It was before that, but I can't remember what I was up to. I was up to something. Anyway, it didn't end up being one of the ones that I grabbed hold of, because I do tend to kind of separate out my practices a bit. So I don't always use my Buddhist divination cards or my Buddhist decks and stuff very often on the channel. I usually end up reading with them with people. They usually end up being like my decks. These are no different. These are really, I feel like, more a part of my, like an extension of my practice that kind of overlaps into the area that I love, which is, of course, cartomancy and playing with decks. At any rate, let's just look here. I mean, this one, I think this is easily right now my favorite Buddhist deck that I own. And I have several. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 other decks, not including my Tibetan Mo. I'm not including the Mo because it's a different discussion. But the ones that are Buddhist themed, oracle decks, definitely my favorite. The size of the box is perfect. This is not like a problem. This is just where, I don't know, it got squished or something at some point. Actually, it's manufacturing related, because this top of the box is a little bit too long. Who cares? It doesn't, when you love a deck, you don't really, I don't know. Those are the things. I'm not a collector so much as someone who loves to use their decks. At any rate, we have the fold out piece here, which is excellent. It really explains the use of the deck and what you can, do with it. So you get a combination in this deck of the historical figures. It is hard to read, and I doubt anyone's going to be able to really read it here. I don't know why they made the choice of putting black on red. If you're going to put, a dark red like this, I mean, using white would make sense, white on black. White on red. I don't know. But anyway, they did it this way. I usually need bright sunlight, and I have to take off my glasses or take my lenses out to read it, or get, reading glasses, which I'm trying to avoid doing because I'm trying to keep my eyesight as good as possible for as long as possible, But we get the historical figures, we get guiding spirits, and I thought there was another suit. Historical figures, guiding spirits. Maybe that's it. No, there is a third one. There is, the historical figures are red. I'm not being able to see this right now. Here we go. We get the Buddhas, right? So we get Buddhas, we get historical figures, and we get guiding spirits. Okay, and they're all pretty much from the Tibetan canon. What else? Yeah, I mean, the importance here, too, of visualizing Buddhas and and Tibetans are very visual, visualizing different people inside your practices. It's really an important aspect of the practice. So let's see, the historical figures again are red. I think the guiding spirits are the, okay, so just to clarify, so the Dhyani Buddhas, okay, they help meditators to become familiar with Buddha nature. They reign over the various paradises where human nature finds fulfillment and will guide you toward the ultimate freedom of consciousness, in which the continuous cycles of life and death are transcended. The cards of the Dhyani Buddhas are blue. Place them where you will see them often, and they will remind you of your real transcendent nature. So this deck I carried with me to work for quite a while. Let's pull out the Dhyani Buddhas. I carried it with me to work for quite a while, and I would just draw a card or shuffle and let one jump out, or go through and find a card that was, for whatever reason, very, very important on a particular day. And I would keep it out on my desk somewhere where I could see it throughout the day, just to kind of remind myself of my work and why I do it and why it's important to me. I think that's crucial. This one wants to talk to us. It's Milarepa, historical figure. We'll come back to you in a minute, sir. So these are the Dhyani Buddhas. And they are wonderful. So who do we have? We have Samantabhadra, the Adi Buddha of universal goodness. Yeah, so very important in Tibetan Buddhism, and especially to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Samantabhadra. So Samantabhadra is shown here with his consort in union. Yeah, his deep blue color symbolizes nothingness. His consort, the Great Mother, symbolizes clarity. Together, they express the idea that the fundamental nature of the universe is emptiness and non-discriminating clarity. To abide in this realm brings universal goodness and freedom from all suffering. So yeah, it really does a great job, as you can tell, of summarizing, who's who and what's what. This is supposed to be a blue Buddha rather than a black one. It's Akshobhya. So he is the Vajra Buddha. Element is water, color of the body is blue, his sense is sound, etc. So when you practice in Tibetan Buddhism, we work with a mandala. So there's a Buddha in the center, then you have, four, one in each direction. And they each symbolize an aspect of self. Right, here's Amitabha. Yeah, then we have the messages down here. Anyway, each of them represents a quality, and it's a quality that we all have. Some of us have those qualities really well developed, some of us don't. And essentially, through engaging with each of these Buddhas individually, we're cultivating and transforming those aspects of self from their encumbered patterns to their more enlightened ones, or I would say just functional. From if we're going to take this outside of religion, you could say just making them more functional, right? So nobody wants to be dysfunctional. You want to kind of work on patterns in order to become more functional. So, for example, where we were with Akshobhya, transforms anger into mirror-like wisdom, right? So it's working through your anger in order to be able to see things with great clarity. And then mirror back to others when they are in a state of anger, because we're not holding it. There's a lot there. So yeah. So these are those Buddhas, right? So yeah. How do I want to do this? Here we go. So we know this one is Amitabha, and he's red, and direction is west. Is that? Oh, Ratnasambhava. Yeah, I should have known from the... So each of them are doing mudras, different mudras that express who and what they do, who they are, what they do, etc. So Ratnasambhava is holding meditative space and offering. That's the offering mudra. It's generosity and so on. This must be Amoga Siddhi. No, Virachana. Oh, yeah, of course, with the two. And so he's the one in the middle. Color is white, and then this would be Amoga Siddhi. Yeah. And he's green usually. So I was a little confused because he's not green. Or at least I'm not reading that color as green. So that's one thing that kind of is irritating, is that they're not, these two are kind of the colors they're supposed to be. This is a kind of a red looking Amitabha, and this is kind of a blue looking Akshobhya, brain fart. But yeah, the other colors are not as clear, which is too bad, but it's not a big deal. Really not. I mean, there's no difference really in color between Ratnasambhava and Virachana. So that's interesting. It's not a big deal. Again, it's not going to stop me from loving these particular Buddhas and learning from them. So then we have all of our historical figures here, which I absolutely love. They're wonderful and colorful. And I was, of course, completely delighted, and you notice she was on top, to find Machik here. So Machik Labdron is the really the Buddha. She these are all people who attained enlightenment at a profound level, but we can say that they didn't just exist in spirit. They were also had a very recognizable incarnation as human life, as in human form. But yeah, there's Machik. She's got her drum up here and her bell down here, and she's dancing naked like a dakini and surrounded in rainbow light and so forth. Wonderful image. She's a yogini. I do think it's interesting the way that, I would never have thought that her message would be put your awareness on your spine at all. I don't know. It's weird. I'll go ahead and read her card simply just to give you an idea of what kind of info they put in here, and because she's my favorite. She's my gal. Machik Labdron is one of Tibet's most popular yoginis, those who learn to yoke their life energies to their profound knowledge. She stands in the dancing yogini pose, stark naked except for her ornaments, signifying her perfect understanding of ultimate reality. The drum she carries symbolizes her control of the energies in the central nervous system. That's new to me. I had never heard that. Very new to me. I've been told other things about the drum. The bell in her left hand symbolizes that she is in accord with the primary vibrations of the universe. that kind of echoes what I have heard about the use of the bell. It's close. In the yoga that Machi Glabron teaches, the practitioner imagines dismantling the body limb by limb and organ by organ, and the mind, thought by thought and impulse by impulse, finally arriving at an ultimate experience of reality. That's also true. Then you feed it to someone, you cook it and feed it to different beings as a nectar. And then it says, put your awareness in your spine. So that's an interesting way, I think, of trying to maybe take something that's so esoteric that this makes it very accessible, very, very accessible, but also refocuses it on the Western idea of what yoga must be. Whereas I don't, while she certainly was very embodied and physical, the yoga that's being referred to in Tibetan practice is really one more of literally becoming one with the deity, like uniting with whatever deity you're working with, embodying them, becoming them as a way of cultivating your practice, right? Whether that's a real thing or an imagined thing is really immaterial, because at a certain point that, from my personal experience, that all shifts anyway. And it starts to, the line between what am I imagining as this and what really is happening become almost indistinguishable. That it's hard to explain, but yeah. So anyhow, there's Machik, and obviously her color is white in this form. She also has a wrathful form that's a very dark blue or black. Yeah. And then we've got Milarepa. Very important. These are all very important individuals. This is Padmasambhava, the lotus born. Padmasambhava is credited with bringing Buddhism to Tibet from India. And this one is, oh yes, of course, the Hvashang. So this is the laughing monk. When you see, he's sort of a Buddhist Santa Claus. I love that explanation. His fat belly symbolizes wealth, and his smile and relaxed sitting posture indicate equanimity and a contentment within himself and the world. So when you see Buddhas like this one, that's who's being invoked there. He's sort of this wonderful wandering yogi monk who's, a fat, happy dude. Yeah. Then we've got, oh yes, Dorje Drolo, who's a demon subduer, riding his tiger with his flames and his purba and all of the severed heads, and yeah. Then we've got, oh, this name always gets me. I should know. Is it Nalanda? No, it's Tsongkhapa, of course. That one, it always eludes me. I don't know why. I've got to figure out how to undo that. Anyway, that's Tsongkhapa. Very important figure, very recognizable in his garb. Virupa, Lord of Yoga. Who's this one? Saraha, the arrow maker. Lots of really beautiful stories about Saraha. Love the stories about Saraha. This should be, Shakyamuni. So there's the historical Buddha. When people talk about being a Buddhist, essentially we're all in the era of the Shakyamuni Buddha. So he's the historical Buddha that we know of. And this is Rudrachakran, the last king of Shambhala. So there we are. And then we get this, let's see. So what do they say here in the guidebook, in the guide folder? Oh yeah, historical figures, and then guiding spirits. Okay, so obviously there are the most cards we have are of the guiding spirits. So we get figures such as Amitayus, the Buddha of boundless life. Amitabha in Korean. This should be, yeah, Yama, the Lord of Death. Nice. Beautiful. I mean, I love that these are clearly taken from actual, like, historical paintings. Yeah. The Medicine Buddha. Again, there's blue here, but usually the Medicine Buddha is depicted as being blue. So that's kind of weird that that was the choice, but who knows? I don't know how the choices had to be made of what images were used. Ushnishavijaya. Yeah, okay. And we've got, I think that's a 1,000-arm Avalokiteshvara. Yeah. Another very wrathful being here, Yamantaka. Who's this one? Vajrapani, or the Vajra holder. Yeah. And then we've got, oh, it's wonderful. I just love this imagery. White Mahakala, protector of the jewel. Yeah. Oh, this should be brain fart. Yeah, it is white Tara. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. So we have white Tara, green Tara, Mahakala, Chakra Samvara in union with red Dakini. Then we've got, who's this one again? Maitreya, the Buddha of the future. Yeah. And then, of course, we've got here Manjushri. Favorite there. Manjushri and Machig, interestingly, pop out a lot when I shuffle the deck. I don't think that's surprising because I work with them a lot. So, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Prajnaparamita. The embodiment of the Heart Sutra, for those of you who are studying the Heart Sutra or Buddhism. So in Tibet, in Tibetan Buddhism, she is personified. Prajnaparamita as a concept is personified as sort of the goddess that births everything, from which everything arises and returns. Okay. I can't remember who this is. Oh, yeah, Suchandra, first king of Shambhala. So we have the first and the last. And somehow that was a historical figure that ended up in this pile. Okay. Shoot. Who's this one again? Oh, Vaishravana, guardian king of the north. I love this one. Those skeletons, the Kinkara. Father, mother, tantric deities. Yeah. And yeah, this one, I've never drawn this one, and it's not one that I'm drawn to. Guya Samaja, not one I'm familiar with. The printing on these is a little bit ski-whiffy. It's slightly off to this, that way, sometimes front and back. So this particular copy is a little bit, yeah, like it's off the, kind of that way. It's diagonal, which really doesn't bother me that much. Sometimes some of them are more than others, but whatever. I mean, again, it's not a big deal. So yeah, it's never going to stop me from completely adoring this deck and working with it. So that is the Tibetan Buddhism deck. I love it. I work with it either just through shuffling it and drawing a card, or sometimes I just feel like I need, Milarepa with me all day. Milarepa wants to talk to me today, clearly, so I'm going to keep him out. I love it. Sarah, I can't thank you enough for the blessing of this deck and this gift. It's so beautiful. So there we go. This one comes with me to work a fair bit. Again, I try not to carry decks in my purse too often because they get destroyed in there. I do have like a diaper bag backpack that I use to carry around like decks and books and things with me when I go to work, so they don't get damaged, which is kind of fussy, I know, but you know, what can you do? The second one is the Tibetan Buddhist meditation deck. Now, sip of coffee time. This is a deck that I actually already had. The difference here is a very interesting one, however. This one, first and foremost, has a guidebook, and it is also a complete deck. The one it was in, this is why this is so heartbreaking. This deck was completely unopened. I have no idea, Sarah, where you must have found this, maybe eBay or something, but I remember when I first went looking for this one, I could not find a copy of it anywhere that was unopened or new. And I just eventually gave up and went ahead and got one that was already opened from like eBay or something, and purchased that. And it was, I think there's one card that's missing. I thought it was more than that. I think I double checked it against this one, and there was only one missing. There was never a guidebook, and also this cardboard here that's in place, I've just left it for this one, holds all of the cards in place really beautifully, so that's partly why I kept it. And yeah, it's just wonderful to have this information which was missing, because there's just a lot of detail that I never got. So like how to use this deck, right? It features a selection of inspiring quotations drawn from the poets and teachers of Tibetan Buddhism or early Buddhist tradition. The cards are divided into 4 suits, each focusing on an aspect of Tibetan Buddhism, and each denoted by a design on the reverse of the cards. They are as follows: Insights and Ritual. And so that is Amitayus, the Buddha of infinite life, holding the vase of immortal elixir. Let's pull these out so we know who's who. Okay. Nope. Yep. So this is these. Oops, sorry. So these are the Insights and Ritual cards. Okay, so those are blue on the back, and they're identical, right? So I think I was initially disappointed when I first got this deck because the cards themselves, first of all, they were sticky. They'd been used. It was an older deck. I had to scrub down the cards and wipe them down so they didn't have schmuck on them. These are the ones that Sarah gave me, obviously, I think. But they were just kind of icky, and I had to kind of make them nice again. That copy of the deck now lives at work, and this one here lives at home. So yeah, all of the quotes that are here, you know, are going to be related to insights and ritual. So we'll put that stack here. Then we have meditation. So it's the Buddha touching the earth with his hands. So that would be Shakyamuni Buddha. So again, the Buddha of our time, even though it's like 2,500 years ago or thereabouts. But again, you know, it's the same image. It's still a beautiful image. But what's important about the card isn't so much the image as it is the quotes. Now, I'm someone who, you know, in part, I know that my Buddhist path and contemplative path in part was shaped by a well-known or little-known, I'm not sure which, tool known as the Zen quotes day calendar, like one page a day calendar. So I used to get those every single year because I would enjoy reading the different quotes on there, and they would stick in my brain all day, sometimes for days. I would cut them out and keep them, and stick them up all over my walls and so forth. For years I did that because I loved it so much. Then they started to repeat themselves so much, you know, year to year, that I eventually, I think, gave up on them. But I never, like, there are some of the quotes and koans in there that never left me, which is, of course, the intent of the koans. For me, the quotes on these cards function similarly. Okay, so for example, here's a card that just popped out. Only wisdom, which is firmly grounded on single-pointed mind, enables us to eliminate delusions from their root. Y'all, we can chew on that for I can chew on that for a very long time. These are not, therefore, I struggle to choose one a day or even one a week. I'll show you an example of what I mean. I think sometimes these show up in the background. These are all Machig's quotes and slogans from Machig. This I've been looking at for probably 6 months. Carry the load of appearing conditions. If you don't carry the load of all phenomena, the remedy of peace and happiness can't liberate you. You know, that's really profound. And I just noticed the dust here on that. Oh, dearie me. The pets really like being in here. And so keeping this room clean and dusted is becoming a greater and greater challenge, and I'm going to have to reorganize the way I work in here. The floofs all want to come in and take refuge. This, I mean, especially while working on my own anti-racist work, this has been really significant. It's, you know, there are another one that's before that, the one I was working with. No. Maybe it's just not meant to be showing up. It's not. It's never mind. They're, you know, it suffice it to say they're significant in that they really shift the way I'm looking at things. Let's see, Tantra. Yeah, the third category is Tantra. So it's Viradaka, guardian king of the south, who protects those who have led a virtuous life from Yama, the lord of death. So that is the next one down here. And lately, I seem to only be drawing cards from this category. I don't know why. I think it's very interesting that that should be the case. I don't know that there's anything more to say about it other than it's just interesting. But, you know, Tantra is very much about embodying and finding the way to reconcile the spirit with, and it's, you know, relatively speaking, its permanence or consciousness, and the permanence of the idea of permanence of consciousness with the impermanence of life, right? It's hard to explain. It's about being fully embodied in everything. So in all of your emotions, without judging, without qualifying, good, bad, otherwise, etc. And then find the way to make each experience that we have in our lives sacred. Again, without necessarily qualifying, this is good, this is bad. I'm trying to think of a good, I had a really intense experience, I guess it was 2 days ago, right at the full moon, at the eclipse, right around that time. Few hours before, technically, I suppose, but I got triggered. I got literally triggered and had what I can only describe as like a PTSD type experience. And all I can really say, you know, is that it was visceral. My behavior in that moment, even though the observer part of me was fully witnessing it, couldn't intervene quickly enough to stop the reactivity. I was in an abusive relationship and trying to leave it when I adopted Noah. And it was terrifying, because I didn't know at that time if I was going to be able to get out. And I got Noah, in June, and I'd already told him that we were done back in, and he was living with me in, let's see, when was that? It would have been in May, late April, early May. And he still hadn't moved out of the house. Because, of course, abusers won't. They're, especially if they are dependent on you in any way. So, in part of moving on for me had been getting Noah. Because he thought, I don't know. Long story short, he had really abused and threatened my cat. Really made life miserable for her. When I brought Noah in, and Noah had his own trauma, this ex was hideous. And he would move from being completely loving and sweet to, chasing Noah around the house and threatening him. And it was terrifying. I was so scared. And I was scared for myself too. I really was at that point. I'm grateful we didn't have a gun in the house, because if we had, one of us wouldn't be here and the other would be in jail. That's it. So, that, despite working through that with meditation, with therapy, 10 years of it, right? That was trauma centered and so forth. I go to adopt another dog, and, we had a situation where Henry just earned a badge for stealing the nachos off the table when our backs were turned. And I wasn't expecting it to make Tom as angry as it did. But he's allowed to be angry, right? But my reaction to his being angry brought up that trauma, right? So it was hard. It was really, really hard. And I'm going to be needing to kind of work on getting some of the rest of that trauma out of my body through neuroemotive technique and so forth, because I figured out where it's held, what part of my body is holding that trauma. And now I've got to just figure out releasing the rest of it, the root of it. But again, it would be tempting to judge that experience as being one that is bad. It's horrifying to go through an experience of PTSD or of trauma resurfacing and being triggered by something, by similar enough circumstances that your nervous system kicks up a reaction that is beyond your ability to control. Even though you're mindfully aware that something's happening, I couldn't understand, much less stop the behavior. I could just see that it was happening. And part of me was there witnessing it, going, what's going on? Hey, what's wrong? Are you, pull it back. Yeah. But, the bonus of it, right? The bonus, there's not really bonus. I guess the gift or the blessing in that is seeing, understanding, knowing deeply that I have a taste, not an experience, but a taste of the kind of experience that someone with PTSD goes through regularly and is trying to find their way forward and through. And that increases my ability to understand them and to have a huge amount of compassion and patience and empathy for that experience. For any traumatic experience, right? If you want to be trauma informed, you're going to revisit your own trauma repeatedly. You kind of have to brace yourself. So learning to be with, and understand that our difficult experiences, our painful experiences, the things in life that horrify us the most, that we want most to avoid, are things that, hold intrinsic value and wisdom and insight is a big part of tantric practice, because it's in the body. It happens in the body. Yeah. So there we go. That was a big diversion away from where I was going, but nevertheless, right. Finally, compassionate wisdom. That would be the white Tara. So these are all quotes that embody or speak of compassionate wisdom. And there, again, the quotes are all, they're beautiful. They're well translated. They're stunning. This is the most recent one. Ooh, Henry hair. The most recent one that I drew is this one. And of course you can, this serves as like a little, oh, I haven't pulled one out of here for a while. I'll have to do that later. There, I can feel like I need to just take more time to do that. And I still can't resist. Okay. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. So the duration of people's lives is like a flash of lightning passing as swiftly as a stream down a mountain. It was the whole month of October, and of course now most of November. And I have appreciated having it sitting here on my desk like this, where I can see it, and touching into and touching base with that quote and with what it means. And I'm at a point now where I could probably draw a new one. And I may do that. But that's how I've been working with the deck. I have another one at work. I won't even try to find it. It's from this, it's again from the Tantra pile. But it is a beautiful deck. I mean, the images themselves are pretty good. They're not the best. They're maybe digitally created. They're probably not original, although this one might be. This one probably isn't. But they, in terms of the quality of the quotes, which is where I think that they're here for contemplation, and I'm super into that. Super into the contemplation, as you can see. So, that's, for me, that's extremely constructive and useful. So that's my impression or my take of the deck, In fact, I haven't done this yet with this particular deck, but I will go ahead and shuffle them, the cards. Let's see if there's a little quote that wants to come to us. So they're very, very plasticized cards. They're very plasticky and glossy. Does not bother me one bit. They're sturdy. Again, the last one tolerated being like wiped off and even like, scrubbed a little bit. So they're fine for overhand shuffling. Let's see if anybody pops out to us. I had been just like breathing and then letting the deck cut itself, but I feel like it's time to quit being precious and just give it a go. Get some more energy mixed in. But I think I will just breathe over it because that is how I've been working with it. Look at that. Another Tantra. Look at this. Okay, from the same, oh no, it's the Lankavatara Sutra. Is that the same one? I think this one's a different one. Yeah. This one came from the Lalita Vistara Sutra. They're the same era, 3rd century. Oops, I'm throwing stuff all over the place now. Nirvana is where there is no birth, no extinction. It is seeing into the state of suchness, absolutely transcending all the categories constructed by the mind, for it is the Buddha's inner consciousness. Now that is a Tantra card. So it is ultimately saying Nirvana is here. Here. In this body. In this lived experience. No birth, no extinction. Seeing into the state of suchness. Absolutely transcending all the categories constructed by the mind. For it is the Buddha's inner consciousness. So, in beautiful sutra. We studied the Lankavatara Sutra when I was in seminary. It's beautiful. This essentially is telling us there's no spiritual bypassing. And there's no judging. We can't judge the experiences that we have. But by embracing them, there's a possibility, and by allowing everything that happens to happen as it does, there is the ability eventually to transcend all the categories constructed by the mind, while recognizing that those categories exist. Right? It's hard. It's not easy. This is why, these, they sit on my desk and I keep looking at them and looking at them and looking at them. This is exactly the right medicine for me right now. Right? We just heard the story I told. And my attempt at being like, yeah, this is what Tantra is, everybody. Here we go. So there's a big lesson in there. Let's see what Milarepa wants to say to us. By far the most popular Tibetan folk, so he's the teacher of Mahamudra, most popular of Tibetan folk hero. He was the first ordinary Tibet's kind of a way to put it, Tibetan folk hero. Wow. That's kind of, it's a bit of an understatement. He was the first ordinary Tibetan to attain complete enlightenment. In order to avenge some childhood injuries, Milarepa learned to master the destructive forces of nature and killed the perpetrator with a fierce storm. To purify himself of his own evil deed, he became a disciple of Marpa, who, after several trials of great difficulty, passed on the wisdom teachings of the Mahamudra. Milarepa then secluded himself in a cave in the Himalayas for 7 years, and finally began to teach his own disciples through his famous illuminating songs of profound beauty. Enter the sound of your name, and through this sound, all sounds. Wow. Wow, what a profound, that by itself, right? That could be a food for the active mind for a long time. Well, there we are. There we are, friends. There we are. So these are the two decks. As you can tell, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. Very grateful to have both of them. So for that, thank you again, Sarah and Nancy, because these wonderful gifts. I have one of Nancy's beautiful beeswax candles burning in here this morning as well. And I have some of my beautiful Tibetan juniper incense burning this morning. I'm completely in love with the smell of this. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And it burns, yeah, about an hour, 60 minutes. It's amazing stuff. So there we go. Thank you again, my friends. And I hope the rest of you too maybe found this interesting. But either way, I will see you again soon. Bye.